All right, good morning everybody. This is one of my favorite dishes to cook when I get home from work. It's 7:37 in the morning and I got through shopping on the way home, and I'm gonna cook a dish that's cheap and easy, and you can feed a lot of people with it. It's called Smothered Steak, and here's what we've got in the shopping bag. Get a close-up on the total for all of these groceries here with some decent light, hopefully. $13.59 for all the groceries I'm fixing to take out of the bag. The first thing you're going to need is some inexpensive steak. You can see I got this on sale. It's a chuck steak thin. Always look for the manager specials wherever you go. Get them on sale because it doesn't matter what it looks like in the package. It's not going to look like that when it's done, so don't worry about it. Just as long as it's thin steak. This morning they didn't have any green bell peppers out. This was the most expensive thing in the bag, was the tricolor bell peppers, but you're going to need at least 2 bell peppers. Get yourself a couple of cans of stewed tomatoes or diced tomatoes. These are the diced tomatoes with celery, green peppers, and onions, and this is perfect because this is the same ingredients all the way through: green onions and tomatoes and bell peppers. So what did I say, green onions? I meant green bell peppers. Get yourself a couple of tomatoes to slice. Small to medium size onion, you're going to chop up the whole thing and use the whole thing so there won't be any leftovers. And a bag of rice. That's it for the ingredients, other than salt and pepper, a little flour for the meat, you'll see that in a second, and some oil, cooking oil, any kind you have. There's a little trick I learned to keep you from crying your eyes out. Take your onion, while you're prepping everything else, stick it in the freezer. You're going to have to thin slice your tomatoes, both of them. I think I'll use the red and the orange ones, seeing as how they didn't have any green bell peppers set out today. Do the same thing with the bell peppers that you did with the tomatoes, just thin slice them. It's going to seem like a lot to begin with, but everything in this is going to cook down, so seem like a lot, but it won't be when it's done. There's the yellow bell pepper all cut up. I've got my tomatoes over here, bell peppers in that one. Okay, we're going to prep the meat. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the onion. More time it spends in the freezer congealing the juice, the better. So we're going to prep the meat. It's simple: salt, pepper, and dust it with flour. The flour is going to turn the gravy, or the sauce, into gravy. So that's what we're going to do next. Now, I know flour wasn't on the shopping list, but I've had this bag of flour for months. I keep it in a Ziploc bag. I don't bake, so I just use it for stuff like this. So one bag of flour is going to last me a long time. Now, I'd be videotaping this part of it, but you can't do this part one-handed. Salt, pepper, dust the meat with flour, flip it over, wash your hands, and repeat. And there we have the prepped meat: salt, pepper, and dust it with flour. Going to set that aside and get the onion out of the freezer and chop it up. I don't know if this makes any difference to anybody, but cut both ends of it off. Make one thin cut down the middle, peel the outside off, and just go to chopping. Same thing with the onion as the other 2 vegetables. No master chef skills required. Just thin slice it, put it in a bowl, and you're done with the onion. And there's the onion all cut up. Alrighty then. My big sister Mindy taught me how to cook this, and she does not like cooked onions, but there are just some recipes you can't do without it, and she's the one that taught me this recipe. So she deals with the cooked onions. Besides, when you know, even if you don't like bell peppers, it's necessary for the gravy that's going to come out of this. And those aren't going to look like onions when it's done, and those aren't going to look like bell peppers when it's done. It's just going to be a nice thick gravy. So there's no bell pepper flavor, there's no onion, it all blends together. So if you don't like either one of those, don't worry about it. You're not going to get a mouthful of bell pepper and go yuck. Okay, we're going to set our temperature on medium high to high. Just depends on how quick you want to do this next step. Take whatever oil you've got. I'm going to put some extra virgin olive oil in the pan, and it's going to be just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. Oh yeah, clean. There we go. We're going to let our oil heat up a bit. Then we're going to take our steaks and sear the steaks in the oil. Alright, oil should be hot enough. I'm just going to, almost hot enough. Lay my steaks in the pan. This is why you need your biggest, deepest skillet. There's a lot of meat. Now, if you get the, you know, you're going to get a multi-pack of these flat steaks, whatever flat steak you choose. If you overlap the steaks, don't worry about it. Just move them around. Once one side is brown, move them around, get the other sides browned, and there'll be plenty of room. There they go. They're cooking on down now. We're just going to brown the outside a bit, flip them over, and then we're going to start adding all the rest of our ingredients. Alright, we've got our steaks flipped over. Don't worry about if like the middles or the ends curl up. You're not really cooking the steak right now. You're just searing the outside of it. The cooking is a long process. This is one of those things you're going to put the lid on this when you're done adding the ingredients and walk away. Seriously. Ow. Okay, the steak started to bleed a little bit, so I turned them back over. And this next ingredient's optional. It's Worcestershire sauce. Give it a nice shot of that. If you don't have Worcestershire, don't worry about it. Next time you go shopping, pick up a bottle. The next time you cook the recipe, throw a shot of Worcestershire in it. Just adds a little zing is all it does. Right, we're going to let that cook down a little bit with the Worcestershire to mix in. And then we're going to put both cans of either, you know, stewed or diced tomatoes. I saw these had green bell pepper and onion in them, so that's perfect for this dish. I wouldn't try the Italian or the Mexican style. It's going to add the wrong flavor, I think. So we're going to add the tomatoes. Going to lift the steak up and get some of those stewed tomatoes or diced tomatoes up underneath the meat, so that the tomatoes are between the pan and the meat. Part of the slow cooking process. You're going to add your real tomatoes. Oops, got bell pepper in there with it, not a problem. 2 tomatoes, put them all in. There we go, just put them in a layer. The bell peppers, add half of your bell pepper, because these are going to cook down to nothing. Like I said, if you don't like bell peppers, don't worry about it. These are going to disappear into the gravy. Half. Same thing with the onion. Take your onion, put it in. Small to medium onion. You're going to need it. Half. And cover it. Reduce the heat down to a simmer and walk away. I used to have a gas stove. The lowest setting I could get on the burner wasn't low enough, so I would take the grate from one side, stack it on top of the grate for this side, and then put the fry pan on top of that. Seemed to put enough space between the heat and the bottom of the frying pan to where you could cover it and walk away. There it goes, simmering on down, on low, real low. That's it. I'll see you in about 4 hours. Oh, yeah, did I say 4 hours? Like I said, I work graveyards, so this is a dish that I cook in the morning that I don't have to worry about. If your heat goes low enough, and I wish I could cook this in a crock pot, but you have to sear the meat. I guess you could transfer it to a crock pot, but it still won't make the same kind of gravy, I don't think. Anyway, I start this cooking when I get home from work, and I don't have to worry about it. You can see now the time is 8:16, so all that prep, all the starting took from whatever the timestamp was that I started this video on to 8:16, and I can quit and forget about it. The only thing I have to worry about later is cooking a cup of rice. It's just me and my wife, a cup of rice. You know how much rice you wind up with just a single cup is plenty of rice to start with for this dish. So that's the only thing I have to worry about cooking later. When I get up, I'll give that a stir. I'll put the rest of the cut vegetables in it and let it keep cooking. And just in case you're wondering, no, I don't waste anything. I put some warm water in the bottom of both the cans, and that's going to go in the pot too, so nothing wasted there. Alright, let's see, it's just past 10, and let's see, the bubbles just barely bubbling on the pan. What I'm going to do, because I'm tired, I've been at work all night, I'm going to flip the steak and mush it down to the bottom. Let me see, let's switch hands here, hold on. And then I'm going to go take a nap. I'm tired, I've been at work all night. So, flip that over, there should be a piece in here, yep. Flip that over. This, flip it over. See if we can't push it down to the bottom. Sorry. There we go. Get some of these veggies and put them back on top. Oh, it's starting to smell good in here. Okay, gonna take the rest of my veggies here. Not gonna put them in yet. Gonna cover them, stick them in the refrigerator. The heat down to low, 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 so I can just cover it back up, let it do its thing, and go take a nap. I'm tired. Alright, when I come back down after I've taken a little rest, these are, you know, peppers and onions and tomatoes. They're all going to be cooked down into the gravy. The diced or stewed tomatoes, whatever you have, half them will be cooked into the gravy. So your gravy will be done. The meat will be cooked down even more. And you'll take what's left of your cut vegetables, onions, tomatoes, and bell peppers, and put that on top, put the lid back on it, and walk away from it again. Doesn't matter how long you cook this, it's just that easy. Well, let's see. Maintenance guy came by and woke me up. It's 1 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the heat up a little bit, put the lid back on it, and go get back in bed and finish my nap. I'm gonna go ahead and add the last to the peppers and onions and put the lid on, let them cook down. Alright, I think it's cooked long enough. I'm gonna stir the meat up into the gravy a bit and call it done. Here's a good look at the spoonful. You can see the meat's all broken down into the gravy. Ready to be scooped up onto a bowl of rice.